Star Citizen Alpha 3.18 should shortly be releasing to a live build, with Cloud Imperium Games planning to have the initial release for that patch early to mid-December. It's worth mentioning that Cloud Imperium go on holiday sometime between the 16th and the 23rd of December for the rest of the year, and it's possible that some of the planned content for Alpha 3.18 could be split across a 3.18.0, a 3.18.1 and .x patches. It's also possible that we will just have an open P2U at the end of the year for the build rather than a live patch, so bear that in mind. However, on the roadmap, we do have Cloud Imperium confirming many of the features for 3.18 have passed their final reviews and are going to be ready for that 3.18.0 patch, and the plan is still to release by mid-December. So let's jump into the features of this patch and which ones are confirmed and ready to go for 3.18.0 to start with. There are a lot of location updates here. Daymar Crash Site, a derelict settlement on Daymar using parts of the Star Runner and 600i. It's the first time we've seen those derelicts in game. We might see them in other places as well, either with this patch or soon after. Also there, tying them together, there's HABs adopted to the biome to create a sort of new point of interest with some activities, puzzles, traversal, hostile AI, missions, etc., as well as rewards for completion. We know there's going to be various combat missions tied here, and it's currently populated by the Ninetales, but that's going to be changed to the Sand Nomads in the future. New rivers. They're setting up biome-specific object rule sets around bodies of water and distributing those by placing additional rivers and lakes on Microtech and Hurston. There appears to be a lot of new rivers here and lakes, as well as major improvements to the placement and sort of addition of rocky outcrops and things like that. Sand caves, establishing the visual language, creating pipeline and quality standard for a new sand cave archetype. With this release, cave networks using the archetype will be placed throughout the standard system, so we know these are going to appear on Daymar and potentially some other places, and a lot of the sandy moons in the future. Greycat PTV buggy racetrack. They are implementing a ground-based buggy track at Crusader in the Orison Vision Center. You'll be able to take the shuttle system there, and little buggies spawn at this racetrack, and you can keep on racing. Mario Kart style. I suppose it's not Mario Kart style. It's just now it's in my head that it's Mario Kart style. Hopefully there'll be a respawn point nearby. Sandbox prison activities. The expansion of prison gameplay with a new suite of missions and sandbox activities to give inmates more opportunities to earn merits or aid in their escape from prison. So there are NPCs now inhabiting the mines there, which you can kill them if you want and take their drops, take their stuff, but you might have some extra time added to your prison sentence. There is a dark zone where you can get a new retrieve and escape mission. There are new ways to leave the planet and vehicles and ships to steal too, but be careful though. Problem inmates will have PvP missions generated for them, sort of to have them restrained by other players. Security Post Correa is getting a big update, so the station will be taking a more central role in Stanton's security. Crusader Security have moved in full-time staff and have begun storing confiscated contraband aboard. The station will be off-limits to all civilians unless given prior authorization, so it will be the only place that you can hack down your criminal rating now. There are security forces that will keep spawning there. There's also a dispenser of confiscated loot that will act a bit like Jumptown, but there's obviously going to be missions there to have bounty hunters come along and deal with problem players there, but just sort of bear that in mind. Crime stat changes are happening as well, so crime stat 1 and 2 won't mark you as a criminal or as a sort of enemy to other players, and these stats can then be paid off from terminals. You won't be shot down by sort of landing zone and station defenses anymore. New missions on the Orison platforms. So Bounty, Assassinate and Clear All and other missions are going to be taking place on the platforms that were originally created for the Siege of Orison. Eventually this is going to be distributed across loads more platforms that will sort of populate Crusader. But these are basically smaller scale, solo or small group missions, versions of the Siege of Orison, and you can get to those platforms via a shuttle, and it's awesome because they are FPS missions that are super close to a landing zone and spawn point, and you can sort of just jump straight into the action. Salvage, hull stripping. The first implementation of salvage into the persistent universe, which includes both hull stripping as well as repairing. This will include both performing hull stripping and repairs by hand, as well as hull stripping using the systems aboard the Drake Vulture, which, oddly, the Drake Vulture is not confirmed 100% for the patch. It's not committed, but that's probably because of the way that Cloud Imperium do their final reviews, and they were waiting for salvage to be finished and final reviewed before then committing the Vulture. So sort of bear that in mind. But also, the Aegis Reclaimer is also going to be able to do hull stripping with a couple of its turrets. The Salvage multi-tool can also use the salvaged RMC, recycled materials composite, to fill holes and repair hulls of ships. Player and NPC ships and husks can be salvaged, but there are also spawned salvage sites, so there are going to be opportunities to salvage without combat. Obviously, that ties nicely in with the soft destruction system as well. Now, that's all the content that Cloud Imperium have marked, committed, and ready, but there's still a load of planned and expected features for the patch. A lot of this stuff will be being committed the next time we have a sort of roadmap update in a couple of weeks, so bear that in mind. So there's the first true iteration of the Gen 12 scene renderer. New rendering architecture to improve performance. This milestone renders every scene object through the new renderer, with optimizations and additional features such as Vulcan coming in the future. Vulcan going to be a huge improvement to the game. If you are experiencing CPU bottlenecks, then the Gen 12 renderer is going to really help you. Should make it a lot more scalable across a lot more CPUs as well. And yeah, it's the basis for a lot of improvements to come graphically. Persistent entity streaming. This makes use of services such as Entity Graph and the replication layer, and will allow every dynamic object in the game to fully persist across all servers, irrelevant of whether it's owned or held by a player. So, changes made to servers and items left behind persist. However, you have no guarantee that you'll log on back to the same server that you logged off in this version of it, so Shard Affinity dealing with that will come later. Server data, basically now though, is saved and can be reloaded after crashes. This will either mean much more stable servers or the ability for servers to recover much more readily. Time trial race missions are being added throughout the standard system. Players will be able to test their skills versus set times, earning rewards based on performance, and even unlocking more tracks as they progress. We know there are a range of space and in-atmosphere racetracks that Cloud Imperium have built for 3.18, sort of all over the place. So that will be quite exciting to people that want to do racing in a game or just want to watch them, because these racetracks they've built are also interesting points of interest. So bear that in mind if you just want to explore, if you just want to have a look around. There might be some cool loot there too. Cargo system refactor. This refactor of the ship cargo systems will allow both found and purchased cargo to be picked up, moved around, and placed into the cargo grid of a ship. So this also includes updates to trade terminals to make them a lot easier to use. The physicalization of commodity cargo basically means that it can be stored and bought and everything, and is in movable 1 SCU containers now. So tractor beams can move these boxes around. However, a major part of this cargo refactor is the new soft death or soft destruction mechanic. Ships will have around a 70% chance of not exploding when their health reaches 0. It is partly based on over damage taken, so you can keep on shooting a ship after it's sort of entirely disabled now and blow it up, it seems. But if it's not blown up, it's instead left there as a husk, relatively intact but permanently disabled. The cargo on that ship will be relatively intact, I believe entirely intact if it's just been disabled, so that's lootable, and there are now reasons to actually board the ship. However, the crew, if they were players, will have survived. NPC crew, they don't survive, they just get killed when the ship gets sort of taken out, but player crew, they will survive. So they're going to be defending their ship from any boarding. They can call in for help. Why would you want to blow up the ship when you can have that sweet loot? So I think this is a major improvement to the game. I'm really looking forward to that soft destruction and being able to do some boarding. It just adds a huge amount more to the game, just going, oh, I finished a battle. Let's have a little bit of a look-see to see what we can find. After Xenothreat, sort of the fleet battle, I can imagine players just going, oh, cool. Obviously, the NPC ships won't have anyone in them because you would have killed them, but there's still going to be loot in them. It's worth mentioning that Cloud Imperium are still tweaking this feature, so it could see some quite major changes in iteration before 3.18 releases. Are there any other features? Well, yes. We could see a variety of other things in the patch. We could see new ships and vehicles, either straight to flyable or like a variant turn up. There could very well be additional missions, making use of any of those gameplay mechanics, but also just some other stuff that they want to put in, or new events as well. We are likely going to see balance optimization and bug fixes. 3.18 has been in development for a long time now, and this could mean that it's in actually a pretty good polished state compared to other patches. Also, you can expect, as part of the 3.18 cycle, events like Siege of Orison and Xenothreat to return at some point. There are some other minor features and changes that could turn up too, and that often do. So there's lots of little minor things that they don't mention, but we'll learn sort of just before the patch releases. Star Citizen Alpha looks like it's just on the horizon, but there could potentially be the splitting up of content or further delays. Just bear that in mind. I'm hoping that most of the content, if not all of it, makes that 3.18 initial patch. But as I said earlier, we could just get an open PTU by the end of the year or have some features pushed to 3.18.1. But what do you think? Are you looking forward to a massively feature-packed 3.18? Do you think Cloud Imperium can make a live build out by the end of the year? Get that out, and will it contain all of the features that it's meant to? Are there any particular features you're looking forward to here? Does soft destruction and the survival of ships, or at least their crew and cargo, fill you full of joy? That means NPC ships are going to be lootable a lot of the time too. I love the idea of looting. Are you concerned by the emboldening of pirates potentially, and PvP is just going, murder everything? Have I missed anything here? What are your thoughts? I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Oh, there is something else I would like to mention. Alpha 3.18 is planned to have a full persistence and reputation wipe. So that will mean that any Alpha UEC, any ships that you've earned in-game, any reputation for missions will all be reset to factory default. Factory default here being that any promo ships or any ships you bought with real money, any ships that's attached to your RSI website account, they will be given to you immediately upon logging in again. But beyond that, expect a full reset.
Hello, I'm Winston Churchill, and I use NordVPN to defend the Internet Empire. We will fight the ants on the beaches. We shall fight on the Internet. We shall fight the trackers and the malware. Whether we want to watch Netflix from another country or have greater accessibility to the Internet, we will defend our island home. At any rate, that is what we're programmed to do.
Thanks, Winston Churchill. What? What do you mean, Tin? That wasn't Winston Churchill? Point still stands. Go to nordvpn.com/BoredGamer to get yourself discounted NordVPN, or use the links below. Every month we have a ship giveaway. For November, we're giving away a Crusader Spirit C1. It's a fantastic looking multi-role ship that can fit a vehicle in the back or a load of cargo, and it looks really cool. It's got loads of forward-facing weaponry and a tractor beam. As it's a concept ship though, the winner will have a Cutlass back in the meantime as a loaner. It comes with access to the game and lifetime insurance too, so bam! Even if you don't have Star Citizen stuff yet, you can get straight into the game with this. It's all you need. Just comment on any of my videos this month to be in for a chance of winning. A massive thank you to everyone that has used the join button under my videos to become a channel member, and my Patreons. You guys are awesome. And it really does help the channel. Please consider becoming one of those lovely people too. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the verse.